Hello and welcome back to the Snare Spotlight series. Today we are experimenting with a completely unheard of style of drum construction from Kerf Drum Co. Now, I know that was a big statement, but it is absolutely true. Before we even talk about that, this is a 6.5 by 14 mahogany drum that is not plywood, it's not stave, and it's not steam bent either. Before we get into exactly what it is, let's hear this drum at a medium tuning. The first thing that we're noticing about this drum is that it is throwing its complete sound a lot more powerfully at a distance. We were noticing immediately that we actually didn't really need the close mic to get everything we wanted out of the sound. Let's take a second and listen to a demonstration of this drum in a groove without the close mic involved at all. The construction style that we were referring to earlier that we've never ever seen before in a drum is what's called kerf joints. The shell is a single piece of wood that is wrapped in a circle and met with a tongue and groove joint where it's glued. However, it's not cut all the way through into pieces like a stave drum. It's cut almost all the way through at points all the way around so that it can be bent into a circle without actually having to steam it or affect the wood in any other way. This means that it has the least amount of glue of any wooden drum shell we have ever seen and is held in place by a single glue location just at one side. If you were to look at the inside of this drum, it resembles a stave drum because it is cut into parts around the entire instrument. However, since it's not all the way through, you don't see the cuts from the outside. With the particular finish on this drum, if you look closely, you can see just by the reflection of the light on the outside where these cuts are made inside. However, it's not a separate piece of wood that's wrapped around it. It's just a single piece that is the entire shell. Now that we've heard it in a medium tuning, let's go to a lower tuning and see what we hear there. This drum is still giving us that same kind of projection we were talking about earlier. Let's hear this again without the close mic involved. So far, there are aspects of this that are reminiscent of what I imagine a stave drum to give, which is to say dry articulation and really punchy sound in the center of the drum, as well as rim shots, but it has its own character as evidenced by the far mic and overhead sounds. We're utilizing the heads and wires that came on the drum, which are a Remo CS reverse dot coated on the top, an Ambassador snare side, and 25 strand wires, which is a little unusual. Beyond the actual construction style of the shell, we are looking at 45-degree bearing edges on top and bottom with a very slight round over to the outside, and medium width, medium depth snare beds that could accept a wide variety of wires. The drum also features single point center mounted lugs, which is a nice feature, and includes an indie snare system, which is basically one of our favorites. The drum is finished off with what appear to be 2.3mm triple flange hoops, pretty standard and definitely my favorite for an 8-lug wood drum like this, nice open sound. And all of that together gives us a very versatile drum with a very powerful sound that speaks great close up and also at a distance. Now we'd love to get into what I've been dying to do with this drum since we got it in here, a pretty very high tuning. This for me is my favorite tuning for this drum for a couple of reasons. First being that it still has a lot of warmth in the center of the drum, particularly for very low dynamic playing and for super articulate things where you maybe don't want to muffle the drum at all, but still have clear articulation super down low. At the same time, you can really smash the drum at this tuning and get a powerful rim shot that has just enough overtone in it to cut through a mix, but not so much that I would feel like I'd have to make any adjustments with muffling or anything else. This tuning is also giving us a very pronounced cross stick sound, which required no adjustment in terms of the placement of the stick. It was beautiful right out of the gate and could really compete with the volume of the drum when I was playing rim shots. It's worth noting specifically that we didn't use any muffling on any of the demos today at all, and this just goes to show you that with this shell construction, choice of bearing edge, and just a little bit of judicious tuning, you can get really great sounds out of this particular drum without any muffling at all. We highly recommend that you follow the link below to see everything that Kerf Drum Company is doing right now. They actually patented this style of shell construction. It is unknown before them, and they make a wide variety of snares as well as kits and everything in between. The story behind how they landed on this is also super interesting and really lends itself to the idea that these guys are trying to do something different that is also super effective and makes for a fantastic instrument.